Hello, and welcome back to the Autistic Tidbits and Tangents podcast. We have your three hosts together. I'm Kara Dymond. I'm an autistic teacher, teacher educator, researcher, author, all sorts of things from Toronto in Canada. I always have trouble saying that I'm from Toronto because I moved out of the city, so actually I'm not, but I work in Toronto. Anyway, I like to be precise, but I think I'm being pedantic. Over to one of you.
I'm Maja Toudal. I'm an autistic and ADHD psychologist, speaker, author, mom, and I'm from Denmark. And I'm in Denmark. So time difference.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Petherick. I'm embarrassed because this is take two of this recording. um, I am a very exhausted autistic musician. I did a very late gig last night and, do other things. Work a lot with Kara, enjoy talking to Maja, and I'm a somewhat now reluctant television star.
I have seen the trailer for the show. It debuts in Canada in like 2 weeks approximately on the 6th of November.
6th of November.
So this show might be out before that. I don't know. But it looks fabulous. It's called The Assembly. What can you say about it, Bruce?
Oh, I was hoping you were going to tell us the whole story. Um, The Assembly is a show that started in France, has now gone around the world. Basically, the idea is a bunch of, well, for us, autistic people who get to ask a question or two to a famous person. And the tagline of the show is "No questions off the table." And I have to say that one of the episodes I was involved with, the guest stars were very open and answered 99% of the questions in a good way.
No, and
Yeah.
this could be just the advertisement because several people have sent it to me saying, "Oh, you're gonna love this show," and I say, "Oh, I know I will. My one of my dearest friends in the world is on it." Um, but it looks like even the people being interviewed are talking about how it's the best interview they've ever had. Just the fact that the questions go quite deep and in some cases are unexpected or hard-hitting questions. I'm really excited to see it myself.
I will say one of the I should say I didn't know who most of the people were.
Oh,
Um
okay. I've
uh,
definitely recognized three of them from the advertisement.
yeah, so one was a quite a famous musician. Howie Mandel was one episode, and he's somebody I was aware of but didn't know exactly who he was.
My mother went to high school with him.
Okay. Was she involved in the famous event? Did she remember the famous event?
I don't know which famous event you're referring to.
So in his biography, he talks about he was kicked out of school because he, as a joke, um, hired some contractors to come to the school to give a quote how to rebuild the library.
No.
Yeah, and I won't. The story's like he tells his story quite a bit, so you'll have
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
and research it. And it's very much part of the episode.
No, my
Um,
mother just remembered things like he threw like chocolate bars in the swimming pool and things like that, and uh, the more benign pranks.
anyway, I because I had known the first person, I knew that they're very open on the social medias about their beliefs and the way they react. So that she didn't surprise me at all. Um,
Mhm.
and people probably will know who I'm talking about when they see the episode. Um, I was expecting Howie Mandel because he was the big Hollywood type star of the six, and that's
Mhm.
not degrading anybody else. Just like anyway, he was very honest, and he said it's the best interview he's ever been part
Yes.
of, and I actually believe that.
Yeah.
Um, Even though he avoided my question.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Skirted around it.
Actually, Did a politician's answer? He answered a question he wanted to answer, not what I asked. I think that's been cut from the episode, so maybe once we can talk about that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's enough of that.
Okay.
That would be fun though.
Did everyone introduce themselves? I
Yes.
lost track.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And today we're going to be talking about the 14th Autism Europe International Congress in Dublin that Kara and I went to, which was about a month ago at the time of recording, a little bit more than a month ago.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about our experience there.
Each person's viewpoints on this podcast reflect their backgrounds and temporal perspectives at the time of recording and do not necessarily reflect the views of everyone else. We believe that personal growth comes from listening and reacting to multiple perspectives, and that conversations can be catalysts for change, connection, and greater understanding. Thanks for being part of our community.
So, you guys went to Dublin. He says it's the introduction to the show yet again.
Second time around. Yes, and we met in person for the first time, which was really remarkable. And I had been in a room with Maja before, but it was a very large room. She was presenting, and this was
that was in Canada.
2016. She was presenting at the Geneva International Autism Symposium.
Yeah.
And I was in the very back row of this large room and listening to Maja talk. This was before I was pursuing my own diagnosis as well, listening to her talk about D&D and how difficult it can be to do chores with ADHD and things that help you, like body doubling. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much in common with her, except I'm not autistic, but oh my gosh, I love her. I want to be friends, but I'm not going to go up to her because I'm shy and she probably wouldn't like that. And anyway, so I have been in a room with her before. So it was very cool to actually be in a room, but not have, I can't gauge mathematical distances, but a football field between us.
A football field's are pretty big. I don't think.
All right. Again, I can't gauge mathematical.
It wasn't that big. I remember the room I presented in.
It was a long room. It was very long, and you were small at the front.
I think it had a capacity of about 100 people or so, maybe a little bit. But there was barely anyone in there because I was not a headliner back then.
What did she talk about 10 years ago?
Again, she was talking about some of the challenges of having ADHD and things that have helped her. And I definitely, you mentioned the value of role playing and the community of that.
I think I was talking about
I can't remember what else.
My life with autism.
It was very much your life story.
Yeah. I was such a bad presenter back then.
Not at all. I enjoyed it and wanted to be your friend, so it wasn't bad.
And look where it's led you to
a
famous podcast.
When I look back at my slideshows from 5-10 years ago, and I've been presenting, I've been doing autism education for about 20 years now. When I look back at my slides, I'm embarrassed.
Don't look back, just look forward.
Yeah, it's looking forward.
We grow as we go, right?
Yeah.
And technology grows, right? So we're always changing.
I always think it's important to look back. And I mean that in the sense of the fact that you're embarrassed, I actually think is a good thing. It means that you recognize I'm going to say mistakes, but you recognize how you've done better over the 20 years, what you've learned. And it's you can hang things on that. But also, being a little older than you two, I listen back to recordings and it's I can do so much better. But these are commercial recordings of, a teenager. So it's things weren't that bad. And, you're presenting at Geneva, which I think to us is, it's in the top 5 conferences of the world, definitely the top in Canada. That's mega impressive. Talking as a fellow presenter at Geneva, thank you.
Me too, actually, a few years later.
Honestly, I remember being so honored and so baffled that they invited me back then. Like I was like, I get to go to Canada? Like, wow.
Yeah.
I've made it now.
That's how I felt going to Dublin because, I've gone to big conferences, but they've always been in my city,
Yeah. Yeah, and everything in Denmark, I think, just counts as the same way that Toronto does for you because Denmark is tiny. But I mean, most of my work has been Denmark, England, Ireland, a little bit Scotland. That's been most of my work.
I
And
love
then
I love that you're positioned in such a place where you have those options to go to so many
it's
different
cold.
countries. It's cold.
Well, you're in Canada, so
Yeah, it gets a little cold here too.
yeah, it gets a little cold. Yeah.
It's snowing just
Okay, yeah.
20 kilometers to the.
There was some frost on the rooftop today when I looked out the window, so we're getting there.
It was weird coming home like the midnight news report, and I turned the radio on just as the weather came on, and they went, for the South Coast, it's going to be raining. It was raining. I was like, going to be 9, and blah blah blah. And in the Kootenays, there's a snow warning, and it's like, the Kootenays is just over the mountain, just over there. Oh, okay. In our previous edit, I asked, was there anything that you learnt about each other? No, hang on. Was it weird or was it strange to meet in person? And let me just say that the answer was no. So let me ask the question I wanted to follow up with. Did you learn something new about each other? That's the thing.
I think if anything, we saw more in real time how we each regulate and what our stressors are.
And I was more stressed than I usually am, like for a lot of reasons. So I needed more regulation than I normally need, I think. But so that was one part of it. There's so many things. Again, incredibly natural meeting and being in the same room together and loved that. Like it felt like yeah, it didn't feel notable other than the fact we're together for the first time. Like it just felt like immediately comfortable.
Yeah, meeting an old friend.
Yeah, and it was really good because we could support each other because we were both feeling anxious about our keynotes, and yours was the first day, which of course has a lot of pros and also there's a lot of pressure when you're the very first presenter. And then mine was like the end of the second day. And so I was like, carrying that stress and maybe a little less social than I would have tried to have been had I gotten it out of the way earlier.
Yeah.
And then by the Saturday, a lot of people had cleared out, and that's like, I'm ready to mingle now. I'm ready to be, conference confident, Kara, but it was just great to be able to support each other. And Maya's an amazing mingler. Like she's really good with, no, you are like, it might not be something that you seek out. Like people come up to you as a member of
but
your
that was
entourage.
only here.
No, but you handled it so well, and you knew how to speak to people and set them at ease. And I know it is not effortless, but it looked effortless.
You know what I think actually made it okay. So I had brought my brother-in-law as a support person / bodyguard.
Who was a wonderful human. I really loved him.
He's amazing. Very, very sweet. And I already said this the first time we went through some of this, but if anyone is wondering why I didn't bring my husband, he first of all had to go to work, and also we have a 2-year-old who I didn't want to rip out of her routine to go be somewhere that mommy would have to be at work from, early morning to late evening every single day anyway. So they were at home. And I was able to bring my brother-in-law who is really, really kind and very attentive and very much a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, for me, I'm normally very not shy, but withdrawn or protective of my space.
Which
And
is
I
a
had
good
put
quality to
myself,
have.
yeah, but like I had put myself in the frame of mind that I'm presenting energy accounting here. I need to mingle for these days. Like I need to put all of my energy into this. But then having my support person there put me so much at ease because I was able to let him know if someone was taking up too much of my energy. So I actually had more energy and more space. Like it felt easier to allow that people coming up to me.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's not something that usually happens to this extent at conferences, but I am used to like one or two people coming over to say hi, but this was a lot.
And Maja, of course, as the opening keynote, then had that visibility, that like recognizable aspect that meant the rest of the conference was that, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
set
And
the tone.
it was many times a day. If
Yes.
I was trying to get somewhere, someone would stop me.
Yeah.
And normally that would stress me out so much. But having a support person we had already arranged like what's the signal? And I'm not going to say what the signal
Because then
was.
everyone will figure it out next time.
Yeah. But like we had actually discussed a signal
So
for me to non-verbally communicate to him that I am now getting too stressed out. We need to go. Like I need to get out of this situation somehow. I only had to do it once, actually.
Which is amazing, actually, when you think about the number of interactions you had.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, most people are so easygoing and so respectful of everyone else's time.
And at a conference like this, so many people
Yeah.
really get that as well, get the
Very much.
energy
Very much
cost.
so.
And yeah.
I wish the big wigs around the world were listening to this part of the conversation about somebody who's a keynote presenter at a conference needing to have a support person with us with a code to help them through. It's like, yes, the three of us don't need 24/7 support.
No.
But
No.
there's times like this where we look completely fine, and it's like,
I
so
had
much.
several like meltdowns, or not like full meltdown, but like shutdowns. And one of the things that I was
You got overwhelmed a couple of times.
Yeah. One of the things I was really grateful for, so they did have like quiet rooms for everybody. Like there were quiet rooms, there were
there was a designated quiet room, but then there was also
the
a
speaker
room for a speaker room.
And the speaker room was like floor to ceilings books, like a library, basically. And I just felt like Belle and Beauty and the Beast. And it was like a little happy spot. And very rarely was anyone else in it. Except for the one time I really needed it. And I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Like I have to go back to the hotel. Yeah.
I will say you also saw my full-blown ADHD during those days.
But again, I also know you so well that those things aren't a surprise because you and I talk on the phone, at least once a week, if not more. And often it's when we're in, crisis. We're like, oh my gosh, this just happened and I don't know what to do.
So I don't have that. I don't have that window into you. What do you mean? What is your more ADHD? What does that look like? Because you're sitting down right now. I don't see any ADHD.
She's a very high masking individual.
Well, I have times where I am capable of physically restraining myself uh from my unease of being still. But when I get stressed, I need to move. And it's like it's not just a jittery, like I need to be fidgeting with something. It's like I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time I basically could have gotten run over. But we were on the street, and between our hotel and the conference center, it was basically right across the street, but there was a tiny little stream. So we had to go over a little tiny bridge, um, and over a crossing. And on the other side of the street from that was a little store, a little like grocery store and a pharmacy and stuff, like tiny little local stores. And we had gone to that little grocery store and witnessed,
Oh, fight. Yeah.
No.
I mean, not a full-blown fight, but
But only
some
because the
serious
one person
aggression.
was focused on trying to get out of the situation, but there was some aggression and
There was some definite
yelling
aggression,
and
like
threats.
yeah. And it was definitely close to breaking out into a genuine fight. And I'm not someone who has ever been around aggression. And
Mhm.
apparently, when that combines with my ADHD, it's like a fight or flight. And even though we were perfectly safe, we both had a bodyguard with us.
Yeah, yeah,
We were fine and we were not involved in the situation. I needed to go.
yeah. And I dissociated and was like hypervigilant freeze, you know?
And unfortunately, at the same time, there was some construction going on near that crossing, which meant that the cars were coming from both ways on a part of the street where usually they would only come from one way. And I I I didn't nearly get run over, but I like definitely went further and faster than was perfectly safe.
Uh, uh, As an empathy statement, I remember, I think I've just talked about this before, when I went back to Australia for my mother's funeral 20 odd years ago,
Mm.
I had concentrated so much in my year and a half in Canada about which side of the street the cars were on. And I
Mhm.
was completely natural. And I had been in Australia, back in Australia for like maybe, I don't know, 12 hours. And I was driven somewhere I hadn't been. I was walking on the street and the car came. And I still remember now my brain going, is it on the right side? Is it the wrong side? Is it the right side or the wrong side? And I leapt into a ditch.
Oh no.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now,
Mm.
I've been around the world many times. I can handle this, but this was so scary.
Mhm.
And my
Mhm.
response was, I needed to get out, exactly like you. And,
Yeah.
if there was water in the ditch or if there was like rocks, I could have hurt myself. You
Yeah.
went across the road and it's a
I
strange
stopped
thing.
I stopped at a cone,
Yeah, there was sort of a
and
middle section. Yeah.
yeah, but it was just a line of cones basically that was separating the two directions. And I did stop at the cone. I saw the car in time and I stopped. But I definitely scared some people, I think.
Mhm.
But like that's the kind of thing that might if my body is in I need to move mode, it's so hard for me to dial that back and get a hold on myself. And it doesn't, it's not only in situations with adrenaline, it's also just when it's dopamine driven. So yeah. Yeah. But you also, I think, very much witnessed how I can go throughout the conference day and then crash.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely. Yeah, we both had hard crashes, I think.
yeah.
So it was a lot. It was a lot. And also, time difference, sleeping differently, like all of these, or not sleeping the night before keynotes. Not that you and I know anything about that, but yeah.
I mean, not that it happened to either of us.
Right. Yeah.
Nerves definitely play into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I got caught in the rain at one point. You weren't there for that.
It's like, I don't remember this.
No. I was out shopping with my brother-in-law, and suddenly, like, the sky opened. And I looked at the clock, or I looked at the weather forecast and the clock, and it was like, this is going to keep going for at least another half hour.
Yeah.
And at that point, we'd been walking for a while, and my feet were hurting. And I was like, I need to get inside and I need to sit down. And we had sought refuge in a store, and you could not sit down in there. To go. I need to go. I need to go. Yeah, and that was like the sky opened.
Yeah.
It was like the water went up to above your ankle within minutes.
It's a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome to Ireland, right?
Right. I did.
But we should talk about the conference, though.
I was going to say, yeah.
I like these stories.
Well, you will have lots of tangents. Don't worry, they'll come out. I thought there were some really lovely, thoughtful parts of how it was organized.
Yes.
I don't think we've talked about who organized it this time around. I think that was when we weren't recording and thought we were recording.
Should I do a quick introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. So the main organization is Autism Europe, and they organize this Congress every third year, and each time it moves around to another country, and they will then engage with a local organization who will do the more local planning. And for this one, it was As I Am Ireland, which is an autistic founded and autistic led organization, charity organization. And we will definitely be talking about them a lot more. I've worked with them a couple of times. And they had done the organization, the primary organization for this Congress. And just as a side note, like the main theme for the 14th Congress was quality of life, research, policy, and practice. That was the theme. And for the first time in the history of this Congress, we had a majority of autistic people on the scientific committee, and I believe on the organizing committee as well. And this was partially a scientific committee decision, if not in whole, but there was a decision that we wanted speakers to either be autistic themselves or for there to be autistic collaborations. So either having a non-autistic speaker and an autistic speaker, or that the research or whatever they were presenting had been done in collaboration with autistic people. Because they wanted autistic voices up front. And that was the first time in the Congress's history that we had those majorities and that we had that focus on not just including autistic people, but putting them center stage.
Expecting them in the design as well. And
Yeah.
there were so many profound and powerful things about it. And yeah, it just, I mean, I during some of the keynotes, especially on the last day, like I was quite teary. Like you would look over and I'd be like teary-eyed, and I would text you something that I was thinking. But just to be in this space where you're surrounded by a majority of people who understand the, at times, like confronting and complicated experiences that we have, where yes, you can be someone who presents and does a good job, and has a high degree or has written a book, whatever it is, but to also understand that there are times we can't fill out the forms, and we can't, someone has to make sure that you actually turned off the stove so you don't burn the house down. And, you know, that there are so many things that are extraordinarily difficult that you have hidden from people. Like you lead with the appearance, the high mask, and then to know that you're around people who know that, yes, those things are true. And also it is true that you have some deep struggles. Like it just felt so comfortable and affirming. And yeah, it's something I'm still processing and thinking about, and want to like do some writing around. Yeah, Wen Lawson was a great example. Their talk, they presented with
Peter Vermeulen.
Peter Vermeulen, yes. And uh, so much of what was said in that talk just really landed. And yeah, I found it a really moving place to be, and also to see the ways that the space was set up. Obviously, it's a conference, it's still overwhelming. There were lots of events that we went to and did.
Yeah, but there was a designated quiet room, there were sensory rooms, there were all these pods and different work settings that were set up by one of the um
Vendors, I guess.
contributors.
And yeah, there were some, I don't know if you tried them. There were these really cool rooms there, like they're about the size of a telephone booth, and you open it up and it's like a quiet room, and you can sit there and change different elements within it. So yeah, there were lots of options for breaks and sensory breaks.
Yeah.
And mindfulness, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm not going to completely take credit for it, but it was my idea
To have little mindfulness sessions.
Okay, so full disclosure, I was on the scientific committee. That did not mean automatically that I got to be an invited speaker, because we couldn't vote for ourselves. But it did give me a voice with certain things. And one of the things I said was for us to include mindfulness sessions each day. And they actually ended up doing that, which I thought was really cool. I had also said that it would make sense for my presentation on energy accounting to be on the first day. Then they made me the opening keynote, which was why insane.
They made you the star. Good.
They I mean, I just thought it would make sense to be on the first day, because then I could include this bit at the end of my presentation with like energy accounting for the attendees for the Congress, which I did, and I thought that actually landed pretty well.
It was a perfect way to frame the Congress and the experience. And
I actually had a handout made. Like I made a little booklet of a handout with energy accounting questions for people to think about and fill in. And I thought it worked really well. And I wanted to have that, if possible, on that first day, because it was 3 days, 3 full days from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and like 1,800 people from 60 different countries. in one location, and events like, so the Congress itself was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but Wednesday evening we had an event at the British Embassy. Thursday evening we had an event at Mansion House, which is the Lord Mayor's
Official residence. So sometimes
Yes,
they don't
official
live there,
residence,
but
or like work base or something. And then on Friday evening there was a Congress party.
Yeah, it was a lot
Like,
of
it
a lot of
was
things.
it
And
was a lot.
some of these spaces, I'm thinking about you, British Embassy, the spaces we were in just like were sensory overwhelming, like
Mhm.
sensorily overwhelming, like the sound
Yeah.
quality, things like that. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't, you know.
But the fact that they had installed a quiet room at the British Embassy wasn't for the event. It's a part of the embassy now.
I
really,
couldn't, okay.
Yes.
I couldn't find the quiet room. I saw the sign and I
Okay,
went,
yeah.
and
I didn't try to
I
find it.
may have broken into the Welsh embassy and another part of the embassy. So I was like, all right, I guess I won't find the quiet room and I'm gonna leave.
It might be easier to find when there isn't like a whole bunch of people and party setting stuff going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's I really hope that we can get the founder and CEO of SIM to
Well, he said he
come and
wanted to
talk
be on the
about some of all
podcast,
this,
so
'cause,
we'll get him one of these
um,
days.
but like I said, it was such a full program that whole aspect of like, how can we protect ourselves through this
Mhm.
was so important. And I got them to do the mindfulness thing. I convinced them to get someone in to do mindfulness sessions during the lunch break.
Yeah.
Um, just half an hour so people would still have time for an actual lunch break.
Mhm.
But mindfulness sessions each day. And a different variation each day as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool, because then people could try out some different variations and see what worked for them. Yeah. And then,
I'll need to find out what this mindfulness stuff means.
here's the thing. I'm not actually good at mindfulness, or at least not at traditional kinds
I
of
wasn't
mindfulness.
until you taught me havening.
What?
For me, havening is a whole,
It incorporates touch and it's just,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's not a mindfulness.
But you can do it with mindfulness, and
But
that's
you
sort of
can
how
do it
I
with,
have to.
yeah,
Otherwise, the brain chatter, there's too
yeah,
much brain chatter.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, for me, mindfulness without movement,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's the ADHD.
Mhm.
I need to say I'm being a little disingenuous because I know exactly what mindfulness means, but what it means originally. So it's part of my Buddhist practice is mindfulness, but that's not what the modern concept it is. In fact, there's a really quite well-known book called What's Wrong with Mindfulness? And it's a whole bunch of Buddhist scholars talking about how a lot of the idea has been taken in a way that has absolutely nothing to do with Dogen's original thought process. But then again, I think the second last article, is basically saying any concept of people being aware of mindfulness is better for the world, no matter how you define it or how you do it. That's some of the thing I really love about a lot of Buddhist work is you can talk about this is not what the original was and this was wrong and this is my tradition, but at the end everyone goes, well, at least they're doing it. That's a good thing. Like the world is a better place.
Yeah. Tending to
Yeah, and I
nervous
think,
systems matters,
yeah, and I mean, people are so different from one another, so one form of mindfulness won't work for everybody. So I think it is a matter of finding the version that works for you.
Mhm. That's why I teach a variety of different things in all of my classrooms, because nothing works for everybody. And even if something works for you, doesn't mean it's going to work when you need it. Having a variety of tools can be really helpful.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so you said something earlier, Kara, where I was like, yes, that's exactly it. So what was cool about this Congress for me was very often when I attend conferences, they are created with professionals and parents in mind, not autistic people. And for this one, which is traditionally a research conference, we weren't just tolerated. We autistic people weren't just tolerated, we were expected and appreciated. It was built in that we were supposed to be there.
Yes. And
Why is this mind-blowing? Like
because we don't usually experience this, especially at autism-related conferences. You're always there with people who will have thoughts about your right to exist as an autistic person and how you should look and what you need to do differently to fit in with the norm and to be in a space where you were allowed to be and not just allowed, it was like yeah, it was just such a comfortable sense where it was safe if you needed to use the quiet room to do that. It talked to so much communication stickers. They did a lot of things right. And I also felt like, oh, I had the thought, I lost it. Over to you, Maya. It'll come back.
I just think that, going to conferences in the last 20-ish years, I'm so used to encountering professionals and hearing presentations that talk about interventions and treatment of autism.
Yes.
And that talk about us as an other.
And the epistemic framing of us, again, yeah, it's this narrative told by others rather than us, which is an, epistemic injustice. And to hear repeatedly in this conference, in each speaker, each keynote, the themes were things like interdependence matters, autonomy matters. But hyper independence, which is the usual push, is like, this is so damaging to us because then it reinforces our internalized ableism when we can't do something perfectly independently. I'm not perfectly independent. I know, like, there are so many things that I cannot do on my own. And, you know, where I just melt down or shut down or
nobody can.
Nobody can, but I think
we are all interdependent, and I felt like that's
a healthier message.
That was a message that just got reiterated over and over and over again. But also, like, hearing so many presenters talk about autistic people not from an outside perspective, but from we. We're talking about us. And just knowing that so many of the presenters were, even if they weren't talking about their own personal experience, but their personal experience was a part of why they're doing what they're doing.
And you weren't going to walk into a presentation and they're going to be talking about you in really traumatizing ways.
No.
That was a gift, because sometimes you do have to brace yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
In other events.
And here you just didn't. And honestly, I loved, so this was Mary Doherty, one of her points, or one of the themes that she talked about was, so she's an autistic doctor, and one of the things she talked about was this experience of joining research and then going into the room and being an autistic person, she was discriminated against. And then as soon as they found out that she was also a doctor, then she got respect for that. But then she was one of the good autistics.
Mm.
And just hearing that from other autistic people, having those experiences shared at a conference of this size and of this reach, you
Yes.
know, that matters.
Mhm.
I think for me, I'm feeling mortality. It was my birthday yesterday. I'm getting older, and it's
Happy belated.
oh, thank you. Birthdays are nothing, but
Yeah.
except my wife makes sure.
Of
Anyway,
course she
good
does.
in good ways. I'm frustrated because this should have happened 30 years ago.
Agreed.
And I think that's
Mhm.
that's the thing. I mean, and quite honestly, I'm also thinking of my experience, and I raised this before in the television show on how a production company was extraordinarily supportive, and yet there was still from certain people, not part of the production company, who were ableist,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of
Well,
intervention talk with some of the support staff, and it's like, we are all autistic adults. We don't want to know that. We don't want to hear that.
this work is iterative. Like there's no endpoint to the work of accessibility and
Mhm.
inclusion and equity. There
Mhm.
isn't an endpoint. It's something that is always requiring sort of active
Mhm.
engagement and working toward. And this isn't to say this was the perfect conference either. One of the
No,
things,
but it's
um, there's
really
always barriers,
helpful to
but
do, I
but
think.
being willing to look at those things and tease them out and aim for more and aspire to better. Um, one of the things I always think about is, uh, virtual options, I think. And
Mm.
some conferences kept this
Mm.
going in the last couple of years, and some only did it in 2020. But that's an important avenue that I think we can do better on because uh, certainly there's a lot of conferences I won't go to, but also just generally, like I know a lot of people, cost, virtual options you can offer at a lower cost,
Mhm.
but medically vulnerable, immunocompromised people, as someone with autoimmune things, I care about disabled visibility and disabled access. And when we have conferences, especially ones like this that are like they are all about disability justice, we have to remember that includes everyone.
Mhm. I
As long
will
as the
say
oh, go on, Mike. Go. Sorry.
I will say that the other conference of As I Ams that I've been to, they did have streaming, and that was not COVID related.
They did
So,
they did for this Congress. They just got all the videos up. So that's actually amazing because now they're freely accessible for everyone. You
mhm,
can see my keynote, you can see my keynote. Uh
for
yeah,
some time at least.
I'm really yeah, yours for some time. I'm really excited because there were some that I had to choose not to go to take care of
Mhm.
myself. And I was so
Yeah.
sad because it's hard to make those decisions.
Mhm. Yeah, but again, we have to protect ourselves, protect our energy
Mhm.
during an event like that that is so
Tiring
uh,
and emotionally tiring. And yeah, just in good ways too. Like good
and
emotions are still draining.
they are, but like it's such a vast event and it's so fast paced and it's impossible to be everywhere all at once.
Mhm.
Um, and I think for me, like I really enjoy going physically to conferences,
Mhm.
even though it is so tiring, so draining. I enjoy it because the energy that I get back from having those conversations with people,
Mhm.
from being in a space where other people are also interested in all of this,
Yes.
versus me sitting at my computer and watching presentations and giving my presentation to a screen.
Yeah.
That doesn't in the same way feed back to me.
Which for sure I understand. I'm currently limited in
it's a
my
privilege,
ability to I'm limited in my ability to go to conferences with my day job as it is now. We'll see what happens in the next year or so.
Another
as
point of
things
frustration for
may
me.
shift. But so yeah, those options, but also again, you know, immunocompromised, medically vulnerable people shouldn't just have to stay home, right? Like we should, that shouldn't be the answer we give them. No, we want you to participate. We want you to contribute. We want you to be there, however works.
I hope people do a little more research, and I mean this people, the world, about virtual presentations, because I agree completely with the thrust of what you've both been talking about with this, actually 100%. My experience with virtual presentations, though, have been problematic, to say the least. And it's because I don't think organizers have done enough work on looking at the platform and what this means. And it's kind of interesting. I'm thinking some, like, even Geneva, but I'm also thinking about the conferences that were part of the autism strategy, the national autism strategy here in Canada. Fundamentally, most autistics were locked out from presentations. It was all
yes.
But even in the virtual presentations, there was no moderation of comments. And by the first like 2 or 3 hours, this is when I was working my previous job, I was getting maybe hundreds of messages saying, I'm giving up. I can't do this. Like there was a keynote for the autism strategy, and it was handled really badly, and the audio was terrible, and they kept one of the things I hate is cameras shifting. When we use Zoom, sometimes the camera, the focus will shift, and like there's been times where you two have switched places, and I'm off for a minute going, and you are two of my closest virtual friends. And that's only because I haven't quite met you yet in person, Maja.
Well, you've met me, but not.
Yes. No. So you're a closer friend, but that's only because we've met in person. Anyway, there was a person commenting who kept on talking about, when are they going to start talking about my child, because I need these things to cure them. And it was just curing autism. Comments over and over again. They were asked to stop, and they didn't. There was no moderation. So what happened is all the autistics left the room.
And then we're not there and part of the conversation. And it's hard to change the conversation if you don't have a seat at the table.
Well, we have a seat at the table, but they just keep moving the chair away for us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
pulling out the tablecloth.
That's not to talk about your conference in any negative way, but it's
in general, this is important.
Yeah, and I felt like this, it was such an awesome experience seeing a conference like this, of this size and of this scope, put autistic voices at the front, because that is something that needs to happen, and it's not been happening nearly enough. And this is, Bruce, like you said, this should have happened 30 years ago, but the fact that it is happening now, I think, is so important. And it's important that we celebrate it when it does.
Acknowledge and celebrate. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And as I am obviously being autistic founded and autistic led, this is what they do. But Autism Europe, I believe, is a parent founded organization, and these conferences have been research focused for the most part.
And the majority of research until recent years was, of course, not not
Exactly.
autistic-led or even participatory, right?
And so for these changes to have happened at one of, if not the largest European conferences, I think is such a powerful statement.
Yeah,
Well,
it was an
please
honor to
listen.
be there and to be speaker. It was an honor to be one of the speakers
It
and to
was.
hear the messages that, I've been trying to get through, like articulated in different new ways, but going, oh, that's exactly what I think. Oh, this aligns. Oh, I love how you said that. That is that speaks to my soul. That speaks to something that I've been trying to articulate. Like,
Agreed.
and having that happen over and over and over again, like I'm getting emotional
Mhm.
thinking about it now.
Kara, the
Mhm.
5 or so years I've known you, I know we've had 30 or 40, maybe 100 times that you and I have talked about this wonderful idea or something that someone's brought up, and you and I just going, we thought about that 20 years ago. Like, but then what's the word I'm thinking of? The reinforcement,
Mhm.
and I do feel
Mhm.
sometimes I come across some research and go, it's kind of like the conference. It's like, should have happened 30 years ago. You go, oh, well, okay. Why doesn't everybody know that? And then 10 seconds later, it's like, okay, it's a reinforcement that everybody is getting this.
Yeah.
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 And in case someone didn't know.
Mhm.
Oh, so one thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up. Kara, what do you
Yes.
think of Ireland?
I mean, it's not like I saw a lot of it in the couple, because I got there just for the conference. I did
Yeah,
take like a couple of hours and went to the cliffs. I can't even remember what they're called now.
I can't remember
Navigated the
either.
bust system and went and saw some cliffs. That was beautiful, and I needed that. I need nature. I need restoration, and so that was a good way to end on the Saturday.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it was the people were lovely. It was a warm, warmth to people, and um yeah, it felt great to be there. It felt great to be surrounded by so many people, and I don't know, I loved it. I loved everyone we met. There were so many people that we now want to have on the podcast. We were on a panel with, well, the aforementioned Mary Doherty, TC Waisman, Sue Fletcher Watson, you, myself, and just a few that every single one of them, I thought, oh my gosh, we
Mhm.
need to have more conversations like this.
But then that panel
And
was
Magda,
led by Magda Mustafa, who's an architect.
who
And
specializes in like neurodiversity affirming architecture, I guess, or
yeah,
autistic, and brilliant mind. Loved talking to Magda, both in that professional capacity and then at some of the events we hung out with her, and
yeah,
fantastic.
I'm
yeah.
part of a committee that would really love to hear some feedback from her. I think I've mentioned before, I'm part of the International Code Council, new building practices for acoustics in building. And we are
I'll send you her website
please,
because it
because
has a
Yeah,
lot of the research and things like that too.
it does. It does.
I
and
didn't
I'll
know
again,
put
that.
her on WhatsApp now.
it's amazing how this council is the very first international code council that's ever going to neurodiversity is going to be part of the how do I say this? We're recognizing neurodiversity as being something we need to be thinking about when it comes to building codes, not just
Mhm.
wheelchair access or blind people, which of course is very,
Awesome.
very important, but neurodiversity.
Mhm.
And we have 3 neurodiverse members of a 25
Amazing.
person committee. It's great. It's really, and again, it's like, why hasn't this happened 30 years ago? It's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Progress is happening, and it's like, finally.
Actually, I want to raise something on that point, on the
Mm.
point that I just raised, and oh my. Um, One of the problems we're having in the council, and I can't discuss exactly what's happening because you have to publish it before you can talk about it, but There are certain measurements and systems that need to be put in place to measure things like, and let's just talk about quality of sound in a room.
Mhm.
There are well-defined historical factors of how that's designed, and very specifically, there's a lot of work done in classrooms, and it's all about dBA, which is sound pressure level, basically how loud is something.
Mhm.
Okay, good. We can measure that. It's useless if you've got children, talking about classrooms, who have speech processing issues, who maybe have hearing impairments but not defined as deaf, and of course ADHD focus, hyperfocus. And one of the things we're trying to talk about is like, how do we measure intelligibility, which is a much better metric. Like, if you put a system in a classroom, we want to make sure that the person sitting in the middle of the room, the language is intelligible. Now,
Yes.
obviously, it's still not going to, we need to adapt for a whole bunch of people. That's great. Okay. What other metrics do we need to develop for our experience?
Yeah, intelligibility, background noise, like sort of
Mhm.
the balance between.
See, that would, to me, that ties into intelligibility. So
Okay.
again, if you've got a PA system or speaker system built in,
Yeah.
you have to think about the background noise, which, by the way, is well measured, as we have standards for that. But I'm thinking more, how do we measure sensory sensitivity? How do we measure, how do we do design from a building code perspective where we can measure energy accounting?
We need to have this conversation with Magda as well. And
I think so.
I think too, like the variability of sensory things, right? Like, day to day, my sensory needs change. I mean, some are consistent, but if I'm more stressed, it's even harder. And yeah, like, how do we measure? And then
I mean,
how do
the
we account for that?
the thing is that people's sensory sensitivities, regardless of their neurotype, um, can be so different.
Yeah.
So, is it possible to create a standard, or is it something more to do with adjustability?
I think that's a really important point. Now, from the professionals in the code world, they're very open to the questions we've been raising, but they come back to, we need to have a standard. We need to be able to measure this. Otherwise, building codes in this example don't work. We need to have
Yeah.
you need to do this to tick your boxes, or you need to be this plus or minus 15 or 20%. And it's like, okay, cool. The idea of a standard that accepts variability, I think, is really super important. For instance, and quite honestly, that was an open-ended question, and we are not the three people that can answer that question because that's a different domain. But I was just thinking about that. Yeah, sorry.
It's also the
Oh,
type
sorry.
of question you need more people to answer.
And the other factor that people might not account for is processing speed, right? How often are you having a conversation? Well, for me, how often am I having a conversation with somebody, or and it's a setting and there's some background noise, and I don't realize what they've asked me, or I need more time to go, oh, that, or I go, what, and then as I'm asking what, I catch up. There's like a delay to the processing of the sound. Um, that also is interesting and hard to account for
There's
because
there's some theory of echolalia that, and in fact, I know I do it, that we often, well, it has been argued that we use echolalia sometimes to allow the processing.
yes,
We're saying something, repeating a word. Everybody else is going, oh, he's going to say something. But actually, what's happening is my brain's going, oh, yeah, that's what I want to say now. That's to me kind of super interesting. Sorry, I forgot I couldn't exactly remember the architect's name, but like they were talking about, you mentioned before that they designed, it was something about
website open. Yeah.
wayfaring.
They use wayfaring and have it. Oh, I've got too many tabs to find it easily, but and they use the aspect. So it's a aspect design. Let me find this.
See, wayfaring, I'm used to, or still a little bit of presentations I still get to do on creating sensory spaces, sensory controlled environments. Is wayfaring is really important. Giving us, I was talking about a light display in a big park we have here, like a really big park, and I said if we can have ways when things are overwhelming that have an exit, that we're talking about children very specific, can get back to the safe space.
Okay, so she uses the Autism Aspects Design Index, a research-based framework of 7 design concepts for architecture. They are acoustics, spatial sequencing, escape, compartmentalization, transition, sensory zoning, and safety.
We have to get to talk to her about this.
I'll send you this
great.
this link in a moment, and yeah, it was amazing to meet her. She's brilliant and an excellent listener as well, and just stellar human being with, what did you call her, Maja?
What?
You were like, oh, main character energy.
Yeah, main character energy. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Without knowing she's the main character, you know, she's not.
Yeah. It's completely chill. It's not it's not like it's not like she feels she's the main character. It's that everybody else does.
It's like Harrison Ford now. Harrison Ford, like that, there's that show where he's a psychiatrist and like he's in complete control of the whole show, but he's just, yes, I'm this character and I'm going to do this and I'm a little grumpy. And you think this is just Harrison Ford in real, but boy, is he the star. Yeah.
Well, next time there's a big international congress,
we want you there.
We have to find a way to, like, all 3 of us be there.
Yes, I agree.
And we need to present in person by height.
Yes.
So I'm last. Okay, got it.
Or first.
Or first, that's true.
Or first.
Maja, unfortunately, you're in the middle. So maybe I'll introduce Maja. Maja can do the presentation, and Kara, you can wrap it all up. There we go.
That sounds great.
Actually, I have had somebody who's seen our podcast, like actually a parent, who said that we should be doing what we do live.
I mean, I would love to have conversations with more people and, you know, invite in stories and talk to other people live. That'd be great.
We'll do a podcast tour.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing.
Broadcast live from stages around the world.
And look, actually,
we're not nearly famous enough for that.
I want you to both to also recognize what a good idea that is, because the 3 of us are really, really good presenters. Now, in one respect, Kara, you should be. You're a teacher. Bruce should be. He's a musician. Maja, you've been presenting for a long time, so you know you should be. But it's also, I think, our natural personalities. We just interact so well. I've had personal feedback about the podcast and like how people enjoy just us interacting and how cool it would be to do a tour. And I think people would like it. But the other thing to also say is you 2 have both been justifiably talking about what a great conference this was. And I'm thinking you still are not recognizing that you are one of the main parts of why the conference was so good, both of you.
No, but we were just cogs in a wheel.
Yeah. Well, you know, Bruce, you were brilliant and you framed the conference, and yeah, it was wonderful to see you do your thing and be able to support you. And
Honestly, it was such a good thing to have you and my brother-in-law on the first row. I
entourage.
positioned them like we got there while it was still like pretty empty. And I like got on stage and examined like, okay, where is my eye going to fall when I need safety? And I made sure that those seats were just
Yeah.
reserved for my backup people, my hype
Yeah.
crowd.
Maya, do you feel the light? And maybe more importantly, do you understand what I mean by feeling the light? And I think, Kara, you'll get this perfectly.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so you are taught in drama school
Find your light.
to find your light. And that basically means to step into the focus point so that the light that they focused for you is fine. It cannot be a physical sensation, but I walk on stage. Every time I walk on stage, I find the light and my body just picks up I'm in the right position. Now maybe that's experience or whatever. And Kara, do you have that same feeling?
Same thing. And I, obviously I have a theater background, so yeah. And what's interesting is like when you find your light, you see the people less, which is kind of cool. You're in this like shh.
And it is a shh, isn't it? And you can't be feeling photons. You cannot be. And the question more is just, is that something maybe you like being on stage?
I mean, for me, I feel like it's very analytical. Like I go on stage, I see where the light falls, not on me, but on the audience. And there will be a couple of spots on the audience where I am better able to see or less able to see. And if I have safe people where I'm better able to see people's faces, then I'm good.
It's interesting. I find it almost harder. I find it easier. Like I would have an easier time presenting to 1,000 people than to 5 people I know and love.
Yes, if I'm presenting to 5 people I know and love, that is the absolute worst position you can put me in.
Yeah.
But if I'm presenting to 1,800 people and
Yes.
there are 2 people I know and love present who are there to support me, then I will want to be looking at them at least sometimes if I need an anchor.
Yes. Well, I was glad that I could be that for you.
You were. You were. And it was an amazing experience. It was also so tough.
Yeah.
Like I was so tired after that conference.
Me too.
But
Exhausting.
I was so filled up from the experience of being, even though I only had very brief conversations with a couple of handfuls of people, there was this sensation that being in a place where not just I, with my high masking, try to present as intelligibly to neurotypical people as I can, because that's always been the primary audience that I've been put in front of. So not just me, but all autistic people are respected.
Yes.
That feeling that all presentations of autism were not accepted, but respected.
And the kinship and commonality.
I was just so filled up, so inspired by that feeling coming home.
I agree. Were you also filled up with chocolate? Because I know that on the day after the Congress, you were going to go around and get as much chocolate as you could.
I brought a lot of chocolate home. It's cheaper in Ireland
Is
than in
it? Okay.
Quebec. Yeah, which was why.
You've just changed the language in a way that I think is kind of cool. The not accepted but respected. And I think, okay, we need to now change Autism Acceptance Day. We've gone from awareness, it's gone to acceptance. Autism respectance?
Respectance, yeah.
Autistic Pride Day.
No, because then you get to people who's like, we don't have white people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that reframing. Again, the awareness should have finished 50 years ago. Acceptance should have finished 30 years ago. Let's go respect.
Agreed.
Because
Now, if we can find an A word that is an appropriate synonym,
Yes.
we'll have to have a think on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was lovely. It was lovely to be there, to meet you, to experience that together. And I hope that we get to do things like that again, all three of us.
We have to.
And I need to put on the record, I'm pleasantly jealous. I would have loved to have been there. I really wish I was in the front row for you both.
The thing to do is to bring me over to Canada, because it's a lot easier for us to meet there. So, the next Geneva symposium, just,
in there.
have some kind of a campaign for them to invite me over. And
do a live podcast.
There you go. That'll be our real life meeting.
That'd be awesome.
Because I can't afford to go by myself. Like, I can't afford to pay for my own plane ticket.
Yeah.
People don't know this about me because I don't actually say it out loud too often. I have not gotten a salary in about 4 years. Because I can't work enough to pay my expenses and pay myself a salary.
Well, there's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, we don't talk about how, like masking individuals, we can look like we have it together.
Have it all together. Oh my gosh.
But I've never been able to do anything full-time or even part-time. Like, I can't work enough hours in a week for more than a couple of weeks at a time. Like, without risking burnout.
And I work chronically, constantly.
Yes.
And then in my personal life, it's like I can't accomplish anything, get things done. I drop all the balls. I crash hard at the, in the mid-afternoon. And but those are the things people don't see. Yeah.
That's the next episode, is Behind the Mask.
Behind the Mask. Oh, that's a good title.
It's
mark that down.
Kind of almost want to have some of those career coaches or somebody who talks about integrating autistics into the workplace, and it's like, dude, you've got it wrong. It's physically impossible for us not to do. We cannot do full-time work, and that's something I learned.
Struggled with, especially if it's micromanaged. If it's like you have to work these hours. No, my hours would be better sporadically, like when I have the energy. And anyway, I do have to get going. ADHD. I am taking my neighbor and her daughter to a pumpkin patch, and I think we were supposed to have already left. So,
well, you can blame me for
yeah.
Between the two of us, we didn't get the recording started, and I don't know why that happened. So apologies.
No worries. Well, lovely to see you both, and thank you everybody who's watching for listening as always. And we appreciate your thoughts on our conversations too.
We do. Follow us on the socials. Do all the things. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Autistic